Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of StarSound Speaks. This is your host, Irlianna Samsara of StarSound Astrology. This is episode 165, and we're going to be talking about a few things today. Basically, I'm going to give you some advice about now that we have survived the eclipses. Yay! We have thrived, not just survived. But I'm going to give you some advice about moving forward, and certain things about that. And then I'm also going to talk about Jupiter's ingress into Pisces, which I wanted to do since last week, but hey, it was the eclipse season. Everything was crazy. And of course, Mercury is retrograde. And of course, I didn't talk about that either, but I'm going to. So don't worry, we got you. I'm going to show you why are these things important? What are they calling us to do? Calling us not to do, and where in your chart. I'll walk you through the zodiac so you find out where is this happening in your chart and how you can make the most of it. So before I get started, just want to say that my course, Astrology for Beginners, is, yes, I have learned Canva, news at 11. Like the last person on earth. But the eclipses were pushing me, right? Quit being stuck about this art stuff, okay? Like, just do it. So I'm like, okay. So I'm going to show you in the true Leo fashion how fabulous this looks. Now you'll have to say, ooh and ah. Oh yes, that's fabulous. Anyway, let me just show you what I came up with for the front page. All right, hold on a second. Okay, so here it is. Dun, da, 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 da. StarSound Astrology presents Cellular Memory. Astrology for Beginners, how to understand your chart and your life. It starts June 14th. Yes, yours truly made that. Isn't that cool? Now, you, as a Leo, you're supposed to say, yes, Irlianna, it's wonderful, right? So I found out discovered more deeply this archetype of Leo about myself, like how everything is like, look what I did, so I'm walking around telling my friends, look at this. They're like, oh, it's wonderful. That's what you have to do with a Leo. You have to tell them that everything is fabulous, even when it's not. Hopefully you will find this fabulous, but if you don't, whatever, I'm still having a blast. Anyway, I hope you join us. This is going to be not just, it's going to be easy on. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by astrology, yes, it can be. It's a very complex discipline. It's a very complex body of wisdom, and it really takes years to study, all right, and master. However, you got to start somewhere, right? So we make it fun, we make it easy, we make it understandable. I break down these complex information, and we just start with the basics. And we're gonna jump in, and I'm gonna show you some things that are not just the modern astrology, which is most of what occurs on the planet in this timing. This ancient astrology has been gaining a huge foothold, and I feel I got so much how it transformed my life, knowing the precepts of how the ancients looked at it. So we're going to be putting that in there too. So I think I just know that it's going to be different from how I taught it years ago. So anyway, I'm just excited to be here and share this with you. So I know, if anything, we're going to have a lot of fun as we learn. So I hope that you will join us for that. So that starts June 14th. And yes, Mercury retrograde. The page on Squarespace is gray. I'm like, all right, hit publish. Okay, click. No, it's gray. All right. He's messing with me, but as soon as just email me if you're interested. we'll get you. We are already taking signups already. So, and we're going to have a small class. So it'll be fun and intimate and personal, and we'll just have a lot of fun. It's 5 weeks, so it's into July, and mini course, right? So I think we'll just have a lot of fun. I know we will. Anyway, that's all. Just want to share that. And the other thing is that you remember Myrtle Schmergel, my cosmic reporter, friend, neighbor, who came over in the green outfit, the infamous green outfit. Myrtle has a podcast now. I guess she was inspired being on my show. I don't know. But anyway, I wanted to share that with you and show you what we've got here. I'll give you the link so you can join in. She is so funny. But she's very cosmically connected. So what did I say about appearances can be deceiving? so let me show you what, here it is. Here's her YouTube channel. Dun, da, da, da. And our dear Myrtle has lots of wisdom. Okay, maybe we don't agree with the fashion sense, but let me tell you, the cosmic wisdom on steroids. So don't miss it. All right, moving on. What I just want to say before we jump into Jupiter and Aries, some eclipse advice now that we're coming out of the season. Now, the next eclipses will be October 25th, solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, November 8th. Yes, yes, folks, November 8th, election day, there will be a lunar eclipse. You cannot make this up. Should be interesting, right? That's our US midterms, but we're not going to talk about that today, but we are going to say that there are some, the revelations, eclipses, when you think about the sun in front of the sun getting blocked, the moon in front of the sun, and then in a lunar eclipse, when the earth is blocking the moon, there are the luminaries, the brightest celestial bodies in our sky get eclipsed twice a year. And that is like something that we can't see. And it's like, what is that right in front of us, right? The sun's right in front of us. What do you mean you can't see it? Well, you can't for a few minutes, the lights are off and it's hard to see. And so that's not, obviously, this is not a time to be making any major decisions in an eclipse window. And I would just say it's been a few days and just let things settle. Just let things settle a little. If you have to make a decision, I would always wait, common sense, maybe 3 days after the eclipse, the finish of the season, the solar lunar. Just to give yourself some time to just, the lights go back on, right? Just like if you were let's say you were in a hurricane, you lost your power and the lights just went back on. Well, okay, you're dealing with the melted ice cream in the refrigerator and, so yes, you're on, but it's still like mopping up, so to speak, and kind of resettling into this new frequency. And we have been given a new frequency. What I'm hearing right now intuitively is, we've been given a new lease on life. I mean, I know that, like, where's this coming from? Look, I always pray before these things, okay? I just have to, my mala beads and all. But it is. Now, we may not see that. It may have felt anything other than, for the last few weeks, very topsy-turvy. Understood. It's eclipse season. Things are supposed to get topsy-turvy. The old system goes offline. There's that void, that bardo, so to speak, intermediate state, as the Tibetan Book of the Dead would describe it, right? But then there is this, then we come back on, but we're reset. And the area of our chart where these eclipses occur is where we have this reset. And so just to say, and I know I didn't do that with our amazing guests, which, by the way, they are coming back, and we have fantastic new ones coming up. I also have my dear cohorts, two of my cohorts for now from Nightlight Astrology, Lindsay, Natal, and Michelle Ertl will be joining us. I'm so excited. I can't wait. The girls, the cowgirls. And so we're going to be talking about all kinds of great things. They're amazing women. I can't wait to introduce you to them if you haven't met them already. But anyway, so yes, we have more wonderful people coming. But what I didn't do was talk about the where these have landed in your house. I don't believe I got into that. So maybe I'll just do that real quick right now. So let me just pull this up, and then we can move on to Jupiter in Aries. Okay, so hold on. Okay, so here is this was the solar eclipse that happened, and I'm going to show you where these occurred, when you have each sign of the zodiac, and I'll tell you why are we still talking about this, right? I was like, oh, Irlianna, the eclipse is over, so in our culture it's like, oh, the Super Bowl, that was great, but it's over. Or the Academy Awards, oh, fabulous, let's watch it, and then we'll move on. Well, not quite with eclipses. Eclipses will, of course, because they're in an axis that takes 1.5 years to process, Taurus and Scorpio, the last of our Taurus Scorpio eclipses will be 1 year from now. So we're dancing with these concepts about money, resources, our self-worth, the resources of others, and everything that comes up about love, connection, will, desire, right? Venus and Mars, right? So rulers of Taurus and Scorpio. So all of those things are being brought up, and where they land powerfully depending on where it is in your chart, is this area that's undergoing a transformation. There is, by the way, when I'm going to talk about when these activate. So it is not just the day they happen, and it's not just the in general feeling of, of between now and next May, but it's there are certain times when they really kick up, and I'm going to get to that in just a moment. So let me just real quick walk you through where these are occurring in your chart. So here we have this is set for Washington, D.C. So this is where it occurred for us. In the you could represent your country, whatever country you're listening from. You can put your country in there and see. If you're interested, you can go to astro.com or astro-seek.com to get a free chart, and you can always click on the solar eclipse and the city, the capital of your country, and you can see where it's going to fall. Like that's a mundane, it's called mundane astrology. Anyway, so here we have, for you guys who are Leo, I would recommend you not reading it for your sun sign, but rather your rising. It's more particular because the rising is exactly where the constellation was when you entered the earth plane. So you might be, a Taurus, but with Virgo rising, it's going to be specific. Where would this land for you specifically at that hour and time period that you were born? So Virgo rising, these eclipses happened, the solar happened in your 9th house and the lunar in your 3rd. So these eclipses since last November, again in the fall and into next year, are going to be dancing back and forth between your 9th and 3rd houses. What are the 9th and 3rd houses? The information axis, teaching, learning, sharing, communications, siblings, higher education, academia, philosophy, spiritual wisdoms, esoteric wisdom. These are all areas of your life where you are being asked, there's an expiration date, and it's like, okay, let's embrace, there's a new chapter that is wanting to be born. So that area of your life is getting eclipsed. There's a major ending and a major beginning regarding those subjects. Okay, then we go to Libra. So Libra, for you guys, you Libra risings, these eclipses are money signs in your money houses. So you Aries and Libra risings, it's your money houses, it's your support, how you are supported, where you are supported, who you support, who supports you, your soul contracts. I think about the 8th house as like the bonds that we have with each other that like transcend death, that go beyond, beyond death, right? 8th house is other people's money, and it's estates and wills and annuities and insurance and, wills and things like that, of that nature. Investors, people who support us, perhaps, and so things of that nature. Now, and the second being the personal finances, the money in your bank, your talents, your worth, your resources. So all of these are being played out, right? This is where the universe wants us to, is giving us a new, like I said earlier, what was that line I said? It's a new lease on life. And it may involve the taking away of, right? It's like what is coming online, but what is leaving? And it's okay. What's leaving is, fear. These are South Node Scorpio eclipses. So fear about our support, or fear of the unknown, afraid of what is Scorpio? Life, death, sexuality, the taboos that we've had around embracing our bodies. These are really core concepts. And where these are playing out for you guys that are Libra risings is in your area of support of the 2nd and an 8th house. Okay, the next one, Scorpio rising. These eclipses are playing out for you in your 1st and 7th houses, which are your houses of yourself, and 7th is others. The others can be a partner, a business partner, a marriage partner, or collaboration, one-to-one collaboration. Like, let's say you're a counselor and you're working one-to-one with somebody. So these areas of your life are what is getting eclipsed. You might find the old self in you an old appearance of you that is stagnant, that needs to fall away, how you literally physically show up in the world, right? Maybe you're gonna, you know, with a solar eclipse, a lunar eclipse, and you have green hair the next day, you know, like, let go, don't be afraid. I don't know. Uranus is in the mix, okay? You're gonna have somebody's gonna come up with green hair, and it's gonna be cool. This is our new standard. It's like, think outside the box, express ourselves. Our fashion is definitely getting going online with a whole new approach. I would say too, on a more serious note, our food supply. These are very big for our food supplies and our what nourishes us, not just food, like physical food, but what, you know, with Uranus there, what nourishes us for, you know, Kundalini rising. This is a huge topic, no matter where it is, no matter what sign you have. These are really powerful principles that are really coming to life with these eclipses. So for you guys that are Scorpio risings, you are finding these, your image, your health, your image, your self-image, and how you show up in and how you relate to others that are collaborations with others, business partners and marriage partners and such, or just living partners, are very much in the mix. This is what is coming up. Okay, then we have Sag risings. So Sag, you Sages, having these eclipses in your 6th and 12th houses. These are not easy houses. This involves a lot of effort, struggle, sacrifice. There could be a sense of feeling loss, or like my favorite line when a tutor taught us in Nightlight, shipwrecked. That's that 12th house. You know, it can make you feel like you're standing in quicksand, like, how come I don't have agency here? The eclipses are saying, you know what? You just got to let go. And yes, it can be scary. Maybe you won't be seen by the world, but just be in faith and know that these changes are assisting you. Yes, they're in tough houses, but you got to remember, we got a lot of help with these eclipses, especially that solar. You know, we had all this huge pileup in Pisces in making a very lovely sextile to the eclipse. So this is like divine grace is assisting us. Our ancestors leaning into transcendental wisdom will greatly affect us, especially you guys that are dealing with the 6th, 12th house axis, you know, where it's like saying there is no, unless we really want to, there is no need to struggle anymore. There is this ability, one can transform oneself, and in that process of letting go, the authentic self can come forward. So that's a Sag rising, okay? And the next one is Capricorn rising. So all you Capricorns out there, Capricorn risings, these are happening. The solar house was in your 5th house and the lunar was in your 11th. And these are the joy of Venus, the joy of Jupiter, the benefic planets. So you're getting an upgrade with, maybe there are people in your life who are your friends that are toxic and need to be let go of, that they're not supporting you anymore, or the groups or the group organizations that you hang with are really not, you know, it's expiration date, right? Depending on where Mars is in your chart, you would go deeper, we uncover layers of what exactly does that look like, you know, and that's what we do in chart readings. We look at the condition of, like, for example, your Mars, and how powerful is your Mars? How well equipped is it to carry out its mission? And so that will give us an enormous amount of information that really colors and nuances this, like a Renaissance painting that's full of light and shadow and gradations of color. So you get a really, really full picture. All I can do here, of course, is just give you some general outlines, kind of like stick figures, but hey, better than nothing, right? But in a reading, you really get the entire, you know, the whole enchilada. So anyway, that's for you guys in your 5th and 12th. The 5th house is creativity. I would say here it's about breaking out of the box and giving yourself permission to dream big and be completely inspired, you know, again, with that lovely stellium in Pisces, you know, the sky's the limit, have hope, joy, optimism, and putting your dreams into and your creative projects into, you know, into action. So anyway, this is a place where things get eclipsed. It's also children. So if you have children, you might find, hey, you know, with Uranus there, might be a surprise. Guess what? You're going to be a parent or a grandparent or a great grandparent with your own children. But certainly breakthroughs there and thinking outside the box and how we relate to our children and or creative projects. So letting go of stagnant situations and relationships that maybe you felt like, oh, there's no way I could get past this. But the eclipse is like, yes, there is. You just have to think outside the box. Okay, we have Aquarius rising. These eclipses happened in your 4th house and your 10th house. These are angular houses. These are very loud. You know, they are any angular, 1st, 4th, 7th, 10th are angular. So they have a lot, they have a megaphone, right? They speak with a megaphone. And to borrow Achuta's, I love what he, great, by the way, if you really want to study astrology, just go to Nightly Astrology. I mean, I'm not, you know, I'm not being paid to say this. I'm just saying it changed my life. It's rich and vast. And he's starting a new cohort, a new cycle next month, but go to his channel and nightlightastrology.com, check it out. Phenomenal, wonderful, a humble, wonderful man, brilliant, masterful, the best teacher. You'll learn it all if you're ready for that kind of commitment. Couldn't say better things. Anyway, here we are, back to our show. So the 4th house and the 10th house, very important. They rule what 4th house? Our home, our property, our family, our roots, our genealogy. There may be some surprise revelations about relationships and around these topics and values, and maybe shaking free and breaking free of old values and stories that you've had around your family, around your home life, and thinking differently, thinking outside the box. You know, maybe it's about growing a garden, you know, Venus ruling your 4th house. Maybe it's time to, you know, create new sources of nourishment for yourself that revolve around and involve your home. Your 10th house is your career house. It's your public reputation. So that there is this falling away of a way of maybe being afraid to show who you really are in public. And so there's this liberation that's available to you. Pisces rising, look at that big old stellium in that 1st, man. This is really exciting. This happens in, again, your 3rd and 9th house, where it is the information axis, teaching, learning, academia, philosophy, belief systems. Maybe there's maybe you're going back to school to learn something that is just going to break you open into a whole nother place of relationship and self-esteem and self-worth. Definitely getting a big opportunity for breakthroughs here, where you might have been held back or felt like a loner in school when you were younger. It's like, well, you can let go of that now. There's this opportunity to have that shift. So that's for you, Pisces rising. Aries rising is the eclipse was in your 2nd and 8th houses, the money houses, right? So it's the exact mirror opposite of Aries, of Libra. So again, the dance between your resources versus others, coming together, working in new, innovative ways, sharing resources, right? Shared resources. Excuse me. All coming up, all at play here for these eclipses. Taurus rising. Obviously, the eclipses are in your 1st and 7th house, obviously very big, again, angular houses. This self-image, health, body, very much coming into play, embracing new ways of looking at ourselves and showing our unique side and the side that wants to connect. And, you know, I would say too, with Uranus in the mix there, it's like embodying this new paradigm, the future self, the Kundalini rising, the future self that is empowered to create, be that, what is that line, you know, that Gandhi said, you know, be the change you wish to see in the world. And we all have been so worried about the earth and climate change and the fires and the wildfires and all that that's going on. It's like, well, here's an opportunity to be, what kind of change do you want to see in the earth, and how can you reflect that in yourself and what you bring to the world and what you bring to others. First 7th houses. Gemini rising, we have the eclipses in your 6th and 12th. And again, just like the Sag rising, you know, this is an area where you can have a divine grace assist you in these areas where you feel very, you know, the sand, quicksand, you know, and where you've had, maybe there's a struggle or a sacrifice or a loss that you've had to endure and it feels lonely. But time heals all wounds, and there is this opportunity to be freed of, perhaps maybe there are old buried things that have long, where you have felt like a lack of agency. That with Uranus there, it's like saying, hey, guess what? You don't have to be run by those old stories and intractable stories or what you thought couldn't change. So again, around maybe your, I would say maybe your creativity, you know, with Venus there and in the mix, creativity and resources and your self-worth, huge for self-worth. Cancer rising, you're obviously, it is in your, you know, again, the 5th and 11th houses, friends, peers, your hopes, your wishes, your dreams, the things you aspire to, your colleagues, your 5th house, your children, your, you know, 5th house is also romance, dating, sex, pleasure, fun activities. You might feel that there is this kind of a taking away of this fun and pleasure, but luckily we have, what happens is, you know, when something goes, we have to remember always, in our Western society, we've been so programmed about hanging on and being afraid to let go and being afraid to explore the unknown. And it's saying here, you know what, regarding your children, regarding your creativity and your sense of adventure and pleasure, it's like, let go and allow yourself to explore these things. And the universe is going to help you with that. You know, I would say the access to that would be, you know, a spiritual wisdom and some transcendent spiritual experiences can help you if we plug into the bhakti and plug in what's the bhav, right? That current of that God goddess devotion, you know, that would assist us in opening up these roadblocks that have been there for a long time. And it's time for change. It's time to reprogram ourselves in the area of friends, lovers, family, you know, tribe, all of those wonderful, luscious things. And so Leo rising, we have these eclipses in your 4th and 10th house. Again, family, career, very large, you know, gets into the nitty gritty, angular houses, a lot of change regarding that. Letting go of fear around your home, your family, your genealogy, letting go of this a sense of needing to control everything, you know, obsessively to obsess and control over your the Dharma and the and allowing it to embrace your this new identity of you in the world, and how it plays out, family, parents, grandparents, you know, these areas of your life are definitely getting eclipsed. And you might be in a place to break free and reinvent yourself in the area of career, like maybe self-employment. Maybe it's about getting into launching, I don't know, an online art business. You know, there's all kinds of ways these things can play out. But again, you look to your Venus and Mars in your chart to see the story, to get a deeper cut of what exactly that would look like. And there's our chart. Okay, so that's that. And I would say too, with I was saying about, you know, what to do in this as we're settling into our new uploaded cosmic reality that came courtesy of these eclipses. There's a saying in the Tao, be water. The strongest response to any situation is to be water. And we really want to remember that too, with Jupiter in the fiery, Jupiter in the sign of Mars and Aries, you know, there could be a lot of, I just saw a headline today about the Department of Homeland Security was very concerned about this, what looks like Roe Wade being rolled back, and that there could be violence and protests and such. Well, with Jupiter and Aries, yeah, that could very well be. And we have to look at not only what is worth fighting for, but how do we fight these ideological beliefs. And with Jupiter there, I would say, you know, like, again, think of the Tao, be water. The strongest response to any situation is to be that, what does water do? It flows around, it doesn't beat something, right? It's constantly moving and flowing. As soon as we stop, water gets stagnant, nothing's gonna move. Everything gets intractable, right? Until some other outside force, right? That law of physics, things will always remain in a certain motion until impacted by an outside force. Well, let that force be, instead of fighting the old way of, you know, and goodness gracious, you know, we're done with violence, but we could be spiritual warriors. You know, we could use our prayer to effect change. I read about when Jupiter had a previous cycle of Jupiter and Aries in the 60s, that's when they first did these transcendental meditations where they had a whole group of people in like a town pray and meditate. And they found that the violent crime went down when that was happening. So this is a way of using our power in a whole nother way, which is, you know, more intuitive with Jupiter in the mix. So I would say for sure, that's an especially good lesson coming out of these eclipses, now that Jupiter's in the sign of Aries. Transforming adversity into opportunity. If something has been taken away from you in this particular, and you're in pain about it, understood, you know, but we want to keep praying and just asking the divine to see the opportunity in the adversity, because when something is taken away, again, something is being given. We're so wired, especially as Americans. It's like this, you know, entitlement culture. I'm entitled, you know, I'm a snowflake, I'm entitled. And it's like, okay, but if we let go of something, or if we have to sacrifice something, there is a reward. And that is what is often dropped out of our society, that we want to focus on not the ego that's hanging on to not wanting to change, but like what comes as a result of that. Well, we definitely have to step into the unknown and let it be revealed to us. And that's a muscle that doesn't happen overnight. You know, so we want to give ourselves some slack. Give yourself a lot of slack coming out of these eclipses. These are very intense, right? These are involving security, very primal, primal needs. So for sure, just, yeah, downtime. No, remember, do not get married. Do not do anything majorly important until you feel, tune in deeply, trust yourself. You'll know when the right time is to change. I would say too, charity as remediation is always a universal remedy for any planetary transit, not just eclipses. Charity is remediation. Go help at the food bank. Go, you know, help start a co-op, or farm some land, or work in a food co-op, or I don't, wherever it is that your heart takes you. I wrote this down in my notes. Passion is the new currency. Since this is about so much about money and resources, to me, I think of Scorpio, like what's the old passion is, you know, how much money how come I can control people with my money and hang on to needing to manipulate and obsess and control. Well, the new currency is passion. What am I so passionate about that would allow, like, every one of us to in the things that mean so much to us, that would allow a passion to emerge, and that passion is what feeds us, you know, our passion. So just something to think about. All right, Mars transit. When are we really going to feel the these things happen. Well, like I said, there are times over the summer for sure. I'm going to talk about this in another podcast about July, but in with the Mars and the North Node conjunction. And if you haven't already, please go to Ari Moshe Wolf talking about the upcoming Uranus North Node conjunction in July. Brilliant man, amazing insights. I felt so comforted listening to him. So if you haven't already, please do. It's got a big picture of Uranus on the thumbnail. You can't miss it. Wonderful, heart-centered, evolutionary astrologer. So you're looking at it through the lens of our soul's evolution. So we want to look at the Mars. One thing I have found very interesting was at Mars, when Mars hits this eclipse point, and it's coming up soon, this is when you're going to really see action, since Mars is the planet of action. So that would be for the solar eclipse, it's going to be July 20th. And, you know, sometimes Mars is impulsive, wants to jump the gun. So Mars might be a couple of 3 days before that, 2-3 days before July 20th. You'll feel, and maybe a day after, but the action being taken about whatever's been stirred up in whatever area of your chart that these eclipses are happening in, there's some kind of forward movement. So that's July 20th for the solar eclipse. And then for the lunar eclipse, Mars is going to oppose the lunar eclipse point. So again, a conjunction or an opposition. So it's lining up with, or it's opposing, right? So some action, some conflict may come up, or that requires action, some kind of opposition, some kind of needing to integrate two sides, right? Desire and will, you know, some kind of integration that needs to happen. And these are the dates where it's really going to be highlighted. So August 12th, July 20th, August 12th. Those are very important. Here's an example in history of, you know, well, yeah, it's not a very jolly one, but the one that comes to mind is when Prince Andrew, you know, all the scandal, right, with the Jeffrey Epstein thing. He obviously, well, he went to his Saturn return. There's a lot of reasons why his life, but he had eclipses in the sign, and he has planets in, you know, Sagittarius. So his reputation, his entitlements got eclipsed, right? Major ending, major beginning. But and as we know from the headlines and all that very sad story with the sexual abuse and the trafficked underage women, and when Mars hit this one particular that happened in December, when Mars hit that eclipse point, boom, that was the day that Queen Elizabeth stripped him of his titles of all, you know, he had all these like 200 patronages and all those entitlements, right? That's Jupiter, right? Wealth, prestige, privilege, entitlement. Mars, what's Mars? The knife, cutting it off. And that's what happened. So unfortunately, sorry guys, I can't think of it. There are happier ones too. It's not like it's all bad and scary, but action that needs to happen that needs to move forward. And so yes, these are look to Mars, you know, when you're like, oh God, is this ever going to change? You know, yes, change is coming. We use these dates and we can use them powerfully. Be proactive. If you know these eclipses, you know where they're happening in your chart, and what we just went through, that's where it's going to be happening for another year. So again, now that you know that, you can do the work of these eclipses. And as my dear, wonderfully departed friend, Renee, who was one of my first astrology teachers, brilliant woman, she said, eclipses, when you do the work of an eclipse, it ahead of time, she always advocated being proactive in that. And so, yeah, you might as well, because, you know, the universe is coming for it anyway. So I say, you know, the more you can clean up your room, you know, and look at these areas and be conscious and proactive in these areas of your life, the better off you'll be, because then when the eclipse happens, it can take you to a different place or a higher place. Or as she said it, the eclipse blessings will rain down on you like a good karma piñata. It's all that candy, right? May not feel like candy in the beginning, but it's candy. Eventually, it's candy. It's always going to liberate us. You got to remember, guys, Uranus can be scary, this chaos and, oh my God, you know, uncomfortable, out of the blue, shocking change, but it's always to liberate. There is something better and higher. And you know, I'll say it again. I can't say it enough, that the Kundalini yoga breath work, hugely important. One of the Kundalini yoga people in the community, I saw it online. They are having this huge, like, multi-day symposium, and I'm sure that Kundalini yoga and breath work was a key part of it, as it is in that branch of yoga wisdom. And so I would highly recommend, you know, 1,000,001 videos, conscious breathing every day, bringing ourselves into that calm space, so that when change happens, we are what? Be the Tao, be water that flows with change, that can allow and accept this. Not like you're agreeing or disagreeing, that you're in that space beyond that. So very powerful. We're going to need that. There's a lot of change happening. We're going to need that. All right, so that's all I have for you today. I was going to talk about, I don't know, this thing's getting awful long, but there's the Jupiter in the sign of Aries. So you know what? I think I will just well, I will say that. Let me think. Hold on a second here. Yeah, I'm thinking, you know, just to keep these short and sweet, I'll chop this up into another video, the Jupiter and Aries part. But at least I can give you that tidbit about being brave and strong and intuitive. And I would say, take out your spiritual guns, right? Not the Aries guns, you know, please. Let's do it peacefully. And then if we absolutely cannot, that's a different story, but you can normally, you know, let's face it, we can handle all of this stuff without having to. Violence is never the answer, right? This is the universe calling us to say, take out your spiritual guns. What is a spiritual gun? Yoga, meditation. We just talked about breath work. These are mantra, whatever mantras that call to you, you know, Deva Pramal, Jai Uttal. These are outrageous yoga masters. You could start there if you don't know them already. Outrageous chant masters. Chanting is, these are sacred sounds that are coursing like sound medicine through the 12 meridians, the nadis, 144,000 nadis, the energy channels of light, as they speak of in the Vedas, that are within and without, and also the meridians of the body. So you are bathing yourself in sacred sound. Talk about self-care. So bathe yourself in these ancient thousands and thousands of years. People have been chanting these. Monks have been continually praying for us for millennia, you know, when you think about it. Hidden away, we don't know about. In this very moment as I'm speaking, someone is praying for us. It's pretty cool. So again, you know, be proactive and move in that direction, and our reality outside will be, as more and more do this, as we all, you know, that 100th monkey, you know, this is the time where we can really shift things, and we don't have to be dragged down by the depressing headlines. We actually talk about being full agency. What's the Jupiter, the God principle, the goddess in us, the priest or priestess that is knowing and intuitively tuned in to our higher knowledge. And being Aries, you know, being forthright, being sovereign beings, sovereign prophetic beings that are in tune with all these aspects of ourselves. So that's what I have to say about that. So anyway, yeah, all for now. And so don't forget Myrtle's channel, and we're coming back with Lindsay and Michelle. So I hope you will join us for these next ones. More exciting things coming. Anyway, thank you all so very much. And if you have any questions or anything, please, I'd love to hear from you guys. You can drop me a line, leave your comments below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. It really helps the channel. Thank you so much. And also, or just write me an email if you want to be private about it. That's cool too. I get a lot of them. Irlianna at StarSoundAstrology.com. So anyway, thank you all for listening, and have a great, blessed week. Namaste.